Need a picture of the sailing ship. Good evening. Well, I have been working on doing the cold molding on this Haven 12 1/2, and I've learned a lot as I've been going. My cedar strips here are pretty much about 3 inches wide for the most part, and about between 1/16 of an 1/8 of an inch thick. We made several more yesterday. You can see here, it's Western red cedar. These are just almost maybe 3/32 to an 1/8. Very flexible. But one of the problems I'm having with these is when I go and put them on here, to try to put them on for the next strip, number one, it's not matching up here. And then if I come and bend it down, you can see how it's overlapping down on here. Let's clear almost all the way to the other thing. And the result of that is I'm having to cut these in places. And that's worked out okay, but it's still causing me to have some gaps. I'm just going to fill these with thickened epoxy. It's all I can think to do. But I'm also trying to figure out how can I do this so they don't have quite so bad of gaps in there. This one I've kind of gotten straightened out as I've come down. And for this side, I already have these cut. And I've been numbering these. So I started out, let's see, right about here. And then these going forward have been positive. There's 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this will be 12. I've got this cut up here to come up into the keel here. And then I've labeled that one as 12. And so then I cut these so that I don't have to worry about this not matching up. And you can see, maybe you can, that's quite a bit tighter fit in there. And then I'm taking the pencil and I'm just drawing my line on the edge of where it goes. Here's 12M for the middle. That one then is going to fit in here. I did take the Sureform plane and planed off a little bit right there. I don't know if you can see that edge on there, but it fits into this kind of cranky little spot here. So that one goes there. Here's the bottom one, 12 lower, which will go on down here. Now, part of the reason that I've got these penciled off like this is what I found out is that it's a lot easier to put your thickened epoxy right on the hull rather than trying to put it on these strips. I had one back up in here somewhere where I painted the thickened epoxy on it and then realized I had it on the wrong side of the strip and I actually had to put it on the other side, which actually I think was in the last video. Now, I'd like to come around the other side quickly. Oh, also I would say, when you go to cut these, like when I cut these up here for these, this little bandsaw works perfectly for that. They'll just go right through there. You can cut them really fast. So I'm doing that when I can. I'd like to come to the other side and look over here. Now, I don't have nearly as much progress here as I do on the back here. This is all done on this after section, and I was able to cut it out pretty easily around the transom. These ones here where I didn't have much curve to deal with, man, they laid on there really nice and straight and tight. I got almost no seams in those at all. Okay, well, so anyway, now this next one I've got, and this is number 6 on this side. I put this one on here and I was like, how can I do this? Look at this horrible bend this one has from where I cut it. The problem is when you put them down on here is, when we saw this on the other side, if you just try to match them up, you can make them match up okay up here in the top, and then you come down here, they want to overlap. So there's a tendency to say, okay, well, I'll just push it up so it's flush against the edge there, but then look at this terrible bow you have up in here. And when you try to go and put the staples in there and staple that down, a lot of times you can mash it, but you can see how it wants to pop up somewhere. And then the result of that is you're either forcing it too much or you're going to wind up with bubbles underneath there, or either you've got a gap in the epoxy or it just isn't sitting right. So I thought, well, what if I just come and bring it on here and put it on here somewhere close to where I can just let it go as it would naturally want to go. And so I did that. I bring it down here, and you can see that'll lay down pretty nice on there. But now I've created this big gap in here that is what I'm trying to fix. So The next thing I did then was say, okay, now how can I, if I put this one on here like this, how can I fill this gap? Well, obviously there's way too much there where I wouldn't want to try to just fill that with epoxy. So I thought, well, watch tips from a shipwright enough, I should be able to be smart enough to figure this out. So I got my next piece. Now, I think this is important. This piece was the next piece that I cut out when I milled these strips. You can see the little knot holes are even the same. And part of the beauty of that is that just if there's any bend in the wood at all, it bends uniformly. So that was one of the first things I did, was try to get two pieces that had got cut out right next to each other. And I haven't done that much when I've been putting these on, but that probably would be an important consideration, is to try to keep the strips stacked in the order that they were cut off of the lumber. So anyway, so I thought, well, if I can put this up here and fill this gap and run it right next, this edge right next to this edge, that should match up okay. But it's obviously overlapping this one that's already down. I thought, well, how can I get a line on the back side of this? So I thought, and I finally decided, you know what, let's just put it up here. And I took the pencil and I marked these little marks on here. I've got a mark here, and I marked that as number 4 on the hull. I marked it on the strip, I marked it on the hull. I marked it on the strip. You can see those pencil lines all match up right there. There's number 7 here, there's 7. Then I took this little sewing gauge that I got from my wife, and it's got this adjustable little pin in here. Now, I used the millimeter side because it's much more exact. So what I did then is I took it, and I'd come up here to say number 4, and I'd push this pin up here. I'd make a note of the fact that that's about 14 millimeters. And then on that corresponding spot on here, I came up and put a little pencil mark right there on that spot. Come on down each one. Here's number 7. Come down, number 7's right there. It's about 35 millimeters. Number 7's here, right there. Make a pencil mark. And I did that the whole length of it. And so, I don't know if you can see with the camera, but now I've got a line going all the way down there, and that's going to correspond with the way this curve is in here, I hope. So, I'm thinking I'll take and run that through the bandsaw and probably try to stay just right on the line as much as I can. If I need to trim it off with the plane a little bit when I get it done, that'll be fine, but I think I should be able to get it to fit right in there. Like I said, this has been quite the learning experience. But I'm happy with the way it's going. One of the things I'm noticing is when I put the thickened epoxy down on here, I just run it like in the pencil line that I've got drawn on there, so I don't have it slopped all over the place. And then when I take that strip and go to staple it on there, kind of move it around just a little bit, make sure the epoxy's spread, and then come back with the stapler. And I'm just doing it with a hand stapler. Pulling out the staples is time consuming, but it's working. So anyway, I feel like I covered a lot and went really fast, and I hope I covered what I meant to cover, but I think that's all I got for now. So we'll put these on and maybe take another short video once they're on there just to see how they turned out. More later.